Welcome to the Nerd Party.
It's not working.
Well, how long since you've cleaned the heads?
The what?
The heads. Do you have any alcohol?
To drink?
What? No, to clean it. Check the tracking.
The rental place closes in 2 hours.
Shut up, it's working.
Time for a retro perspective.
Hello and welcome to Retro Perspective, the show on the Nerd Party where we take a look at all of the movies released 25 years ago this week. I'm Mike.
I'm John.
And today we're taking a look at the movies released on July 15th, 1994.
Yes, July 15th, a scant week after the world saw Forrest Gump hit theaters.
Yep. People were wandering through the multiplex looking for something good.
They'd already seen Forrest Gump.
Well, anyway, so July 15th, there were 6 movies which were released on July 15th. So the first one, which did not rank in the box office, whatever, is L627. This movie, couldn't figure out how much money it made. Probably not a lot. But it does have a 100% positive rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It is a cop drama from France. We watched the trailer. I watched the trailer at least, and it looked pretty good. Did you watch the movie?
I couldn't find any existence of the movie on any streaming service that I could get a hold of.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah. It's too bad because it did look cool, didn't it?
It did. Honestly, this week winds up. This is the first indicator of I think we all live in a presumption now that we'll be able to get some sort of copy of a movie relatively easy in the modern era, whether it's streaming or special order, a DVD or something like that. And I think that this film immediately disproves that theory right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there are some others on here as well that I think do the same thing. Perhaps the next movie, which also did not chart at the box office, Ciao, Professors.
Yes.
57% on Rotten Tomatoes. I believe this is an Italian movie.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't really find much info on this at all. I don't think we ever even found a trailer, did we?
No, I don't think so. I think isn't it Ciao Professore? Which means professors.
Oh,
but,
maybe my autocorrect changed it to.
Yeah. Either way, went looking for it, couldn't find it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, next on the list, this also did not chart, but we're starting to get a little bit more mainstream here.
Mm-hmm.
Mi Vida Loca.
Yeah.
Which was directed by Allison Anders, who she did a movie called Gas Food Lodging, which I've never seen. Everyone says it's really good. The other thing which she directed less than a year after this is one of the rooms in 4 Rooms. That's where I know her from.
Oh, okay. Which one? Did she do the which one?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah,
the
okay.
Yeah, it's weird, like that 4 Rooms movie, because it had all of the big up-and-coming filmmakers. Tarantino and Rodriguez were givens, but the other 2 were Allison Anders and Alexander Rockwell, and both of them had made moderately successful movies just prior to that, but they didn't take off like anyone else. I mean, if looking at it in hindsight, like who would they have gotten? It probably would be, Kevin Smith would be a strong candidate, right?
Yeah, probably.
And I don't know who the 4th person would be. But I don't know. Mi Vida Loca, I wanted to see it. It looked cool.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like sort of like a pseudo documentary or a movie, maybe kind of like Training Day, where they used like a lot of real people essentially playing versions of themselves to tell this fictional story mixed in with like actors and stuff. And it looked cool, but I couldn't find it.
Nor could I. So we're 3 strikes.
Okay.
3 strikes.
All right. Well, surely this next movie is available somewhere. came in at number 14 at the box office with $62,000 in its opening weekend, 91% positive on Rotten Tomatoes. Spanking the Monkey. This is a movie which had some pretty high-profile people, especially behind the scenes. It was the first movie by David O. Russell, who maybe he would have been the fourth guy. I don't know.
That's a good guess. Yeah.
But David O. Russell, who of course would go on to direct things like The Fighter, American Hustle, Joy.
He did.
I said Joy.
Did he do Silver Linings Playbook?
Yep. Silver Linings
that's
Playbook,
right.
Three Kings.
Oh, I didn't know he did Three Kings. Wow.
Yeah.
That probably would have been the first thing I saw that he did.
Yeah. And he did, what was it, Flirting with Disaster? Is that his too?
The title's familiar, but I don't know if that's his.
I Heart Huckabees.
Which apparently he got along with Lily Tomlin really well while they were filming that.
Oh, yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. David O. Russell, he has a bit of a reputation for being a jerk. So there you go.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see in the current era whether he continues having a career as a jerk.
Yeah, I mean, so many people have vowed to never work with him again, like George Clooney, for example, you know?
That's a big thing. Yet Jennifer Lawrence worked with him twice or
More
three
than
times.
that. Yeah. 3 times at least, because she won her Oscar with him, right? And
Yeah, but the thing is that just makes me think of you were telling me about the interview where Kevin Smith was talking to M. Night Shyamalan, and Kevin Smith, because he talks trash about everybody he worked with at some point, was talking about how tough it was to work with Bruce Willis, and Shyamalan's like, no, he's a good guy, I like him, like I get along fine with him and stuff like that. So maybe it's just that some people plug into the same frequency.
Maybe. And even like Lily Tomlin, like that was the second movie that they had made together, So maybe it just takes time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, this is his first movie, and I really wanted to see it because I've liked most of the movies that I've seen of his.
Yeah, same.
But it's not available.
Swing and a miss again.
Yeah.
So we've gone down 3 strikes. So now this is strike 1 of the second batter. So we're just not having a good inning so far.
No, we're not. Yeah. But the next movie, number 4 at the box office with $14.8 million and a 33% on Rotten Tomatoes, Angels in the Outfield.
Indeed.
I bet you could find this one, right?
I had to order it as an add-on for some stuff I had to buy from Amazon anyway. Cannot find it streaming anywhere. Got it as a DVD add-on that was like $4.99. And I said, yeah, I've always actually kind of wanted to see this. So sure.
And I was tempted to do that with Mi Vida Loca. I think they had it for like $8. Spanking the Monkey must be out of print because that's like $35 used or something like that.
Yeah, that was too high a price point for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so you were dedicated. You were dedicated with this one. You not only ordered it off of Amazon, but you actually got up and put the disc into the DVD player.
Very difficult, actually, as it turns out. I've lost a lot of feeling at the tips of my fingers, and so handling the disc was a trick.
Yeah. It's kind of annoying these days. But
is, actually.
What did you think? Was this your first time watching it?
It was, and I know what I'm signing up for. It's a Disney movie, and it's a harmless kids movie. It's not a next level sort of thing. I kind of do, but don't understand why it became sort of an endearing hit for a little bit. Like it was pretty well regarded of the people that I knew. I mean, the cast is Danny Glover, Christopher Lloyd, a very young Matthew McConaughey, a very young Adrian Brody, a bunch of other actors who you can't name, but you know them. Tony Danza's in it, of all people. And some very terrible special effects, even for the time, are in it. Because, of course, 94 is before the big the digital revolution had started, but it wasn't really where we would expect nowadays. It's a lot of blue screen difficulties with the effects.
I can't believe you're missing one of the biggest stars in this. Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. A very, very young Joseph Gordon-Levitt. You're right, absolutely right. And also the woman pigeon lady from Home Alone 2 was in it. Yeah, she was the foster care woman. And Dermot Mulroney. This is the second Dermot Mulroney movie I've seen for a retro perspective because he was previously in Bad Girls.
Yeah. I feel like he was in something else this year that I watched. Can't remember.
Oh, I'm sure he's going to sneak in there somewhere.
Yeah. No, I was like in a Pizza Hut one time a few years back, and on like Ellen or something like that, they had Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Tony Danza on because they were promoting their new movie, which Joseph Gordon-Levitt directed. John, what was it called? Was it John Doe? The one where he's like, oh God, I forget.
Wait, Don John, where he's like
Don
the
John.
Lothario,
There
right?
you go.
Yeah.
And they were like talking about, they were like, oh, look, you know, you guys acted together, you know, like, hey, Tony, did you ever think that, you know, 24 years later or whatever, 23 years later, this little kid would be your director? And then they like showed the scene where like he's like flapping his wings or whatever.
Yes, to give him the belief that an angel was helping him, to teach him to believe in himself for that last pitch they needed to strike out the scar-faced evil White Sox player.
Yeah. Second movie this year, at least, where the White Sox are the bad guys. And,
yes.
And I remember watching this and thinking I remember rooting for the White Sox. You know, and my mom's like, you're not supposed to be doing that. They're not supposed to.
But the batter had a scar, Mike.
That
means he's a bad guy, right?
Well, I mean, I guess that's true, right?
Yeah.
It's weird. Like, at one point, you feel like good because you think like, oh, someone out there at Disney thinks that the White Sox are good enough to, you know, play for the pennant. But at the same time, they're going to lose because they're the bad guys. Mm.
Yeah, you know, I actually had an interesting ethical problem with Angels in the Outfield, which I shared with my wife, and she told me I was a crazy person. But I maintain that the presence of the angels themselves, helping the Angels, the California Angels, as they're called in the movie, is a cheating problem.
I would agree.
Okay. All right. And I said to her that when one is an angel, depending on the philosophy, if you believe in angels, you've essentially achieved basically a sort of sainthood, right? You're in heaven. You're in the presence of the Lord, right? I would think, based on my understanding, that cheating would not be something that a saintly person would do for any reason. You know, like that at best this kid would have said the prayer and an angel would have come down and said, yeah, you know, that's not really what we do. Something else you want? You know, like that sort of thing. Like, it's a harmless enough premise and stuff like that. And Christopher Lloyd is obviously having a blast with everything. But, you know, it's a harmless kids movie.
Maybe they're fallen angels. Maybe they're going straight to hell.
Well, no, because one of the angels is listed. He says that he's just gotten out of his training wings.
Oh.
And so this angel has obviously, you know, been elevated recently.
Okay.
And who knew that an angel giving a massage to somebody would suddenly turn them into a good hitter? That seems to me questionable because they'd be very relaxed, I imagine, but that wouldn't necessarily make them able to hit suddenly.
I don't know. It seems like this movie has a few problems. I saw it in the drive-in, one of two movies that I saw back-to-back. It's a double feature with Lion King. Thinking about it, I mean, this must have been the first movie in the double feature. Lion King must have been the add-on.
Add-on? No, I would imagine they would show Angels in the Outfield first for the same reason that when I saw Mission Impossible at a drive-in theater, they played Black Sheep starring Chris Farley and David Spade first, because if I'd watched Mission Impossible and then gotten 10 minutes into that movie, I would have left. So
yeah, no, I think it just probably has more to do with release dates and stuff, and you know, everyone's seen Lion King, so that's just the, you know, stay for the encore, but I remember like my parents, like, and this is another reason why I think, because I would have been like, okay, fine, I'll go to see Angels in the Outfield. But if they would have said like, we're going to see Lion King, I would have said no. But they like surprised us by saying like, there's another one, you know, we get to see two. And I'm
That's
like,
cool.
God, I just want to go home and read 0 Hour, but whatever. Yeah, I remember not liking this movie. So.
Yeah, I think I'm probably just easier on Disney movies of this era just because at least it's an original property.
Is it?
And
I thought it was a remake.
Oh, yes. It's based on another, but it's not. I'm taking a shot at the Ice Heart era where they just buy everybody else's properties and franchise them. So, at the very least, and I would like to see the original because I'm intrigued.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's just that Disney gristmill stuff. Their live action stuff has always been a collection of curiosities. So,
Well, it looks like they finally hacked that Gibson with Marvel and Star Wars.
But did they?
I don't know. And then they got their live action animated adaptations too. So
yes, they're remaking themselves. It's very meta. All
right. Well, there was one other movie that was released this week. It was number 1 at the box office, made $40.8 million, 69% on Rotten Tomatoes. Another remake, James Cameron's True Lies.
Yes. Based on a French film.
Yeah, which you can't find anywhere, too. So
yeah, that's unfortunate because I would really like to see the original French film.
Yeah. So, did you see this in the theater?
You bet I did.
Yeah.
You give me, like, I don't know why they bothered with anything beyond the statement in the trailer from the director of T2 and Aliens. Just stop right there. Fine, I'm coming to see. I'll go see this.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
And what did you think back then?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good time. I laughed. Thought it was pretty funny. Although, of course, being in the realm of nerds, you have to sit there and pick apart the way that the Harrier behaves and people hanging off it and stuff. And it's like, oh, you'd have been sucked into the intake, right? It's like, typical nerd stuff. But, had a good time. Did you see it in the theater?
No, I saw it. It must have been about 2 years later. It must have been 96. It was a day, I can't remember what the holiday was, but thinking back now, it must have been one of those fake holidays because we were off of school, but nobody else was off of work or anything like that.
Yeah.
And my friend Matt and I, we decided to rent a few movies that day, and these were the movies which we watched, all first time watches, by the way. Okay, we watched 3 movies at his house, and then after that I went home and I watched another movie which I had never seen before. So here were the 4 movies in order: Terminator, Terminator 2, Clueless, and then I went home and watched True Lies.
Wow, it's a Cameron fest.
That has got to be the best first time watch day ever in my life. I mean, nothing else could compare to that ever. There's no way.
Yeah, that's a pretty strong lineup. I mean, I do enjoy Clueless very much.
Yeah.
And Terminator and T2. I mean, it's, come on. Those are 2 incredible science fiction films, but I take it from your glowing review that you are a person who is enthusiastically in favor of True Lies.
Yeah, it was weird because I was still just trying to figure things out at that point. I must have been 15, but just thinking about the timeline and everything. And it was one of those things where it's I'm just starting to realize who directors are, what their role is in the making of movies and everything like that, and how like maybe that in itself is a reason to go see a movie or something like that, and sort of realizing that, you know, just because a movie looks like it's a certain type of movie doesn't necessarily mean that it is, or that doesn't have any indication of its quality, really. And, you know, you'd go to Windy City Video and you'd look around and you'd look in the action section and you'd see Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, Jean-Claude Van Damme, just all over the place, everything, every possible combination of whatever, Die Hard into this, Die Hard into that, you know, all these things, and you would just kind of dismiss all of them. And, you know, I saw the box art for True Lies, and I saw it right next to all the other Schwarzenegger movies, like Last Action Hero and everything, and I just completely dismissed all of them. And one day, like, I started looking at, you know, the credits on the box, and I saw, you know, that this was directed by James Cameron, and I was like, oh, so maybe this is different from the others. And I got excited by the fact that it seemed like trash, but trash which was made by someone who made Aliens and The Abyss. And I was like, I'm going to give this a shot. And I took it home and watched it that night. And I really did love it. And I've always loved it. And it's one of those things where it doesn't, unlike a lot of, well, just movies in general, but in particular Cameron movies, it doesn't get played out for me because, you know, it's never been released on anything other than a DVD, which was ripped off of a Laserdisc transfer from, you know, 1994. And the quality is absolute garbage, so you don't watch it too often. And
Yeah.
Cinemax has it in HD. So that's how I watched it this time. It's the absolute best the movie has ever looked and everything. I haven't seen it in a few years. I can't remember when, but it's actually, I had logged it on Letterboxd, so it had to have been within the last, 5 years or so. And I really did like it a lot this time, but I went into this week thinking like, this is going to take the top spot. This is going to dethrone Speed and everything for the year up until this point. There's no doubt about it in my mind. And, watching it this time, I mean, I still really, really enjoy it, but it didn't hold up for me the way that I had hoped. I think that Speed may be the better movie. It's fun and everything, but there's some stuff in it where you're just kind of like, it's a little tacky. The gender politics don't quite hold up by today's standards, and there's some really weird stuff that they do, and the humor is kind of bizarre, and it takes like this really weird turn structurally where like the movie just stops being about like the A plot for like a good half hour, and they just focus on this other thing, and then they come back to it. It's like it forgets the story that it's telling, and it starts telling a different story, and then it goes back to that other story. It's really weird, but on the whole, I still think that it is very good. Did you rewatch it this time?
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cinemax, I'll be canceling again soon. But
you did get it, so you saw it in HD.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, cool. They do have the Abyss theatrical cut in HD up there too. So
theatrical.
Check that out too.
Director's cut.
Yeah.
No, this has always been one of those weird ones from Cameron where I wasn't like madly in love with it, but over time, so many people I knew talked it up. I was like, oh, maybe I'm just misremembering. Like, maybe I'm not cutting. Oh yeah, Tom Arnold is really, really funny. Like I remember him. Like he was the real scene stealer. Tom Arnold was the revelation of the movie. Like everybody walked out saying, wow, this guy's actually really funny. We love Tom Arnold. And, I can't, I'm not going to say anything about, the whatever gender politics or whatever, but like Art Malik, who was in The Living Daylights as the head of the Mujahideen, he's got a great comic gift. He's actually able to pull off being a bloodthirsty terrorist, but still get laughs, which is, you got to be really deft at that. Like the guy's got a really light touch, but I think that the movie overall just very much feels like somebody who isn't entirely comfortable telling this joke and doesn't really want to. Like when we're at the action scenes, Cameron's in his element. The movie comes to life with the Harrier jet sequence and Arnold punching and fighting and shooting and all of that stuff, and it accentuates the humor that's inherently in an Arnold Schwarzenegger sort of premise. But a lot of the stuff, like the whole subplot with the daughter, it feels tacked on. Especially because at the end, like she's been absent for most of the movie, and then, they just say, "Oh, and your daughter got kidnapped." Wait, what? Oh, she's in the movie. Okay, sure, that's her purpose. And some of the Tom Arnold humor, I don't know. It was really funny the first time I saw it, and now it's not particularly funny. It's like, oh, he's just a bitter dude. And although there is a funny thing where I was watching the movie and it got to the scene where Jamie Lee Curtis is doing the sexy dance for Arnold, and my wife walked in and she goes, "What the hell are you watching?" Like she thought it was I'm like, it's True Lies, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jamie Lee Curtis.
It's just Cinemax, nothing.
Yeah, right. I'm like, it's Arnold. It's True Lies, and she says, "What is that?" My wife had never seen it, and she had no interest. So there you go.
It is weird. Like, some people give, J.J. Abrams a hard time about, sort of like the plot and the motivations of Mission Impossible 3, where, it's like presented as this love story, about a spy who, tells his, wife that he's a spy and everything. And, but in reality, like if you break it down beat by beat, he's the only reason why he tells her is because he's afraid of getting caught. He's afraid of losing this relationship. He doesn't do it because he thinks it's the right thing to do. He does it for self-preservation.
Yeah.
Like True Lies takes that to another level entirely. Like, whoa, you're going crazy here in this plot,
Well, I think that there is something buried under there that Cameron's trying to say that's fairly interesting about the hypocrisy of Harry, where, he gets all upset because she starts seeing Bill Paxton, but here he is and his entire existence is a lie and she has no idea who he really even is. But it really seems like something where it's so heavy, like it seems so disconnected that it's a little too absurd for its own good.
Yeah.
And so the Tia Carrere art dealer subplot seems unnecessary at best.
I kind of like that subplot. I don't know. I think it's interesting. You
want me to be honest, that entire thing feels like they just weren't comfortable with having a man hit Jamie Lee Curtis. And so it was like, well, we need a female villain so they can get in a fight and people aren't uncomfortable with it.
No, I think that, she's like his Bill Paxton in a sense, and I don't know. I think that there's some good stuff going on there. They keep on talking. For years they were talking about doing a sequel, and then that, which I thought would have been cool because it would have been different. It would have been, now they're partners or whatever. And then that went away after 9/11. They were just like, oh, we can't really, do a lighthearted comedy about terrorism anymore. And then they were going to do it as a TV show. Cameron was going to produce it, and they had Renee Echevarria as the creator, the showrunner, who, of course, he worked on Deep Space Nine for years and years and years. And he also, I think, was the showrunner on Dark Angel for at least a while, Cameron's other show. Mm-hmm. And that went away. And now McGee is developing it as a show. And he's been working on it for a while. But it apparently it's going to be on like Disney Plus or something like that. I mean, I think you could do something interesting with that as a TV show, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I do. You mentioned 9/11. I do think it's interesting, and I think a lot of people lose perspective. I think that the terrorist plots in movies in the 1990s show, and I really think as time goes on, and there are people who don't have very clear memories of the 90s, or were very young during that time period. You look back at the terrorist plots that these movies had. It really shows how our collective thinking really wasn't fathoming something like 9/11 happening.
Yeah.
Everything we looked at was truck bombs or nuke in front of the White House or stealing nuclear bombs or this or that. Nobody, not even in, these people are paid to write absurd premises, and it never occurs to anybody to look at this one thing that happened. And even in 93, there was a truck bomb where they tried to bring down the World Trade Center. So that even played right into it. We were like, well, yeah, obviously it's going to be a truck bomb. It's going to be that. And it's interesting as a result, I think. And I think that it's a worthwhile sort of thing to look back at this or the Siege or the Peacemaker for what we thought the problem was going to be, as opposed to what it actually wound up being.
Yeah, and the one time, the one show which did do it, essentially did it as like something so over the top that it was almost comical. That was Lone Gunman. But just a few months before 9/11, had a plot about a terrorist who was trying to fly a plane into the World Trade Center, which is crazy. But yeah, I mean, that was like so over the top, that
right.
It was done for essentially laughs in a sense.
Right. Yeah. Who was going to do this?
Right.
Nobody's going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird. But yeah, I mean, but now I think like, and I think like at the time, like any sort of like spy show or whatever, it's going to be so focused on terrorism that, once 9/11 hit, like that was just sort of off the table for something which was basically done as like popcorn entertainment.
Oh yeah.
But now, we've, as a film industry, I guess they have kind of figured out like that you can tell other stories that don't involve that, which is why we can have something like True Lies as a TV show again. But anyway, that was True Lies. Yeah, I mean, what do you think? Does it better or worse than when you first saw it?
Worse. But the thing is, that's a loaded word. I think overall it's a movie, it's okay. Like I don't dislike watching it, but it's not something I doubt I'm going to come back to it.
Okay. Better than Angels in the Outfield?
Sort of a push. It's a little bit better, sure. I mean, just because Cameron and his crew know what they're doing, and it may have its problems, but it's put together really well, and it looks really good.
Yeah.
But I get, like I said, I'm lenient with the Disney live action stuff. So, Angels in the Outfield is very obviously just made to appeal to the kids, and so as a kids movie, as a slice of entertainment, like they're sort of in two different categories, where Angels in the Outfield is a forgettable piece of kids entertainment and True Lies is a semi-forgettable piece of adult entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, I still like this movie a whole bunch. I would probably put it at number 2 on the year right now, just behind Speed. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether or not it makes my top 10 come year's end. I'm curious. Yeah. But it was good getting to see it again, and I will revisit it, when the 4K disc comes out or whatever, or it ends up on Disney Plus or wherever it's going to go these days.
He'll make it so that you can only get the 4K transfer of The Abyss Director's Cut and True Lies if you buy tickets to all of the Avatar sequels.
There you go. I would do that, but
I probably would too, to be honest with you. Sure, why not?
And you'll see those movies anyway, right? Because they say from the director of True Lies and T2, or of Aliens and T2.
Yes, yeah. Well, we'll see. I'm a different person now.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Avatar 2's gotta come out strong.
All right. So, next week, we have 4 movies. 1 on Wednesday, July 20th, and 3 on Friday, July 22nd. The Wednesday movie was The Client. And the Friday movies are Just Like a Woman, North, and Lassie.
I gotta see North, man. I finally got to see North, a movie so bad that Roger Ebert made a point of telling the world how much he hated it.
Yes, yes. So until next week, John, where can people find you on the internet?
Oh, nobody wants to find me on the internet, but if you feel so inclined, I'm Kessel Junkie. Just look for that name. Or you can find me right here on the network, co-hosting a Star Wars podcast called Aggressive Negotiations with Matthew Rushing. And where can people find you, Mike?
Well, you can find me on my website, filmdamagepod.com, doing a show called Film Damage. We just released our first episode in over 5 months, and we talk about something which was inspired by a comment from some person, some random person about Stranger Things and like projection in Stranger Things. So if you want to check that out, I don't know, John, have you seen Stranger Things?
I did, and there's an interesting scene in the opening episode of Stranger Things season 3 where they sneak into a sneak preview of Day of the Dead.
Yes,
I have yet to do the math on it and figure out if it would be appropriate for them to have been seeing said movie at said time. But I will trust them to have done their research.
Well, it does say sneak preview on there.
Yes, but sneak preview isn't going to be, I want to find out whether it's in the logical window for a sneak preview to have happened.
Probably not. It's probably why they put sneak preview on there, is because the timing didn't line up. But whatever. John was the person who posed this question to me, and
It was me.
I did some research. I talked to some people. I talked to my old tech, and we got some answers. And the conversation, I don't know if it's going to be at all coherent, because it's basically just Max and I arguing about whether or not it would work. But we'll see.
I look forward to hearing it because I know that it's going to be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, well, we shall see. We shall see. But you can also find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at Mumbles3K. So, until next week, be kind, rewind.